I really am in an abusive situation. You know, it's abusive when you have to explain everything that you do at all times to somebody, you know, to try to prevent them from attacking you in some way. I went to the beach today. It was 80 degrees in Boston. You know, this is a part of the country where it's not warm. It's not warm most of the time. It's winter most of the time, you know, and when it's not winter, it's spring or it's fall, and it's just there just aren't a lot of really warm days. The summer is practically half over because it's, you know, the middle of June. I've been really depressed for the past couple of weeks. The end of school was extremely stressful. Last week when I went to school, I got harassed every time I was at school. I was harassed every time I was in the library. I went to the library to try to do homework and to check my email, and every time that I was at the library, there was a guy who harassed me by coughing at me, and it was 3 different days. It was 3 different guys. And I was just like, you know what, I'm gonna drop out of this class. I had a summer class that it's actually a required class for the program that I'm in. I mean, I can take it later. I can take it in the fall. It also means that it's gonna, you know, it means that I won't be able to start. There's a part of the program I won't be able to start until I've done it. But I don't have it. I can't concentrate. It's too much. You know, it's too much. At the end of the semester was just 2 months. Not only end of the semester, but then also past the end of the semester until things, I think, are finally going to be all right in that class where the teacher actually tried to fail me. And then they looked at the work that I had done and looked at the work that everybody else in the class had done and were like, no, that she can't fail you. It's ridiculous. You've done A work in this class. Yeah, you know, I mean, but it was up until the time that I was actually told you just don't have to worry about this anymore. It was such an unbelievable amount of stress. 2 solid months basically of just falling apart. You know, no, because I knew as soon as it started, as soon as that guy started harassing me in that one class, I knew that it was going to be horrible. I knew it because that's what it's been like every other time something like this has happened to me. You know, 8 months at the Pine Street Inn with that male employee who stalked and harassed me around the shelter. He did it over and over again. 8 months of that before finally he had harassed so many other women that they finally the director believed me and he was fired because other staff were lying for him and she didn't want to believe it, and it was just like 8 months. You know, that's almost you know, I mean, that's not far from a year that I lived like that with that guy getting away with the entire time, and me getting screamed at, and he even threatened me. He even threatened me with security. That guy who was stalking and harassing me threatened me with security because I kept telling him to leave me alone. He's like, I'm gonna have you thrown out, right? And that was pretty much the last thing he did before he got fired, because finally other women started to say, yeah, he's a total creep. He follows me around too. He harasses me. He said all these things to me. Finally, but that's what it took. That he had harassed so many other women during all that time when I was not getting believed and I was getting punished, you know, for talking about it, you know. And there were staff who tried to help me, but there was only so much they could do, you know. And it's just, and then that time when I was at the crisis unit and there was that patient who was harassing me for weeks and weeks, you know, and that was very dramatic what happened with that, you know, where a nurse actually set me up for me to get so upset that she could have me hauled off and committed to a hospital, which is what happened. I mean, it was disgusting. And like by the time that was over, you know, the manager was involved, you know, my own advocate was involved at that crisis unit. There were other staff who like, you know, had tried for a while to help me, but then they finally just didn't care. You know, I was getting moved from one degrading situation to another. I was sleeping like 5 hours a night, you know, and it was just like, because I know that every time something like this happens, no matter how obvious it is that I'm not the one who's wrong, I get in trouble. Something bad happens. And I know that now they're trying to do something about it. You know, they're fixing my grade. Maybe they're going to talk to that guy. Maybe they're going to try to find out who he is and tell him to leave me alone. But I emailed them. I emailed several people at the administration a few days ago saying, you know, every time I've been at the library, somebody has harassed me. You know, I'm not sure what to do about it. And the response I got back was, you know, I suppose it could have been worse. But it was something along the lines of, well, you know, I'm glad that, you know, some counseling is helping you, and I think the earplugs are a good idea. And I was just like, you know what, I'm dropping out of the class for the summer. You know, for the first part of the summer, I have another class that I'm signed up for the second part of the summer, and depending on how I'm feeling, I might stay in that class, but I might not. I might not go to back to school until the fall because I just can't even stand to be there anymore. I couldn't do my homework. It's just too stressful, and I can't. It's not like when I leave, I have a social life. I don't have any kind of social life, my phone is hacked, my email's hacked, everything's hacked. I mean, I feel like what I'm dealing with every day is just hundreds of people who are looking for something to attack me for. They want to say something horrible about me, and it's usually very disgusting. It's usually sexually stigmatizing. It's usually ridiculing in some way, and they are looking to treat me that way. Even just people out there in the conglomerate that I literally have never done anything to at all. They're just looking for something to get me for. So yeah, I've been very depressed. It's been really hard. Finally today I was like, I'm getting out. I'm doing something. It's summer. I'm going to act like it's summer. I went to the beach. I wore a bathing suit. And I just was exercised my right to be a person in a free country. I did that, knowing that I was, and now walking back to my apartment, I was like, and now I've got to say something. Now I've got to say something to defend myself, against whatever it is everybody's been out there saying for me for the past several hours. That first summer in 2011, when I had just gotten out of the hospital, it had been the year before that the sexual harassment had started by the conglomerate. I absolutely capitulated. I totally capitulated to the idea that I should be very, very careful about everything that I wore. I wore long pants in 90-degree weather, long pants, long skirts. I wore t-shirts. I mean, maybe once in a while I wore a tank top, but certainly I was extremely, extremely modest the entire time, and it didn't even matter because that was when because that was when the videotaping of me started in the shower. It just didn't even matter. What all the care that I took, trying not to trigger anything, but what you're wearing, literally wearing pants in 90-degree weather. Up there in Vermont, where it actually can get very hot in the summer, but it just didn't matter at all because I was already being illegally videotaped in the shower, and there was nothing, and I didn't even know. It was just like, it's just so it doesn't matter what I wear, it doesn't matter what I do, it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter. These are people who are looking for a way to be horrible to me. That's all it's ever been. Yeah, and then I don't feel all that safe, to be honest with you. I don't feel all that safe wearing shorts and a tank top, but I have the right to do it. And I see there's just people parked along the street, where I live. A few more cars I've never seen before, that kind of thing. License plates that I think are not so good. And and also when I left the beach, walking to the train station, I think there were a few guys who were stalking me. And then there were some guys in their truck. I was a little bit concerned about that. There was a guy who followed me into a store, and he was like coughing. He coughed when he walked in the store past me, and then like literally only a couple minutes later, I was walking out of the store, and I hear this huge cough right behind me. He's like 6 inches behind me.